Normally, warm spring weather is something to celebrate, but in parts of BC's southern interior, it has unleashed destructive floods, the worst in 70 years. Across the province, about 4,000 people have been forced from their homes, particularly hard hit the towns of Grand Forks and Osoyoos. Tonight, waters are receding, but officials point out that snow is still melting in the mountains at a dangerously fast rate, which will once again overwhelm 3 major rivers. The swollen West Kettle River flows south, where it links up with the larger Kettle River, itself much higher and faster than normal. The Kettle River then swings east to meet the Granby River at Grand Forks, a location that makes the town vulnerable and the situation still very serious. Briar Stewart is there.
3 days after the water rushed into this neighborhood, more than 100 homes still sit submerged. A handful of residents stranded after not heeding the calls to leave earlier.
We've swept the area. We've just been notified today that there's 3 more people still in their home.
Which is why there were more rescues today after 30 over the weekend.
Oh, man.
At times, firefighters had to swim through the water, polluted with toxic chemicals and sewage.
Yeah, definitely get inside.
It's a nightmare when you look at that. It's just, I can't imagine it. Like being in there for days and not leaving, it's unimaginable.
While other neighborhoods are drying up, more than 2,500 residents in the Grand Forks area are still out of their homes and are urged to stay away. The destructive path of all that water is obvious. Even some of the dikes have been eaten away. 2 days ago, this is how downtown Grand Forks looked. Today, some of the initial cleanup has begun.
The water levels where you can see the lines.
Those who work in this office are relocating to higher ground.
And this flood's done in a lot of these old buildings that I don't think they're going to be able to be used again. Personally, that's what my feelings are. This building is starting to move as we're getting our last of our things out of here.
Even at those businesses that were lucky enough to stay mostly dry, it's all hands on deck today, as people work to build those walls of sandbags even higher.
We're just trying to keep it dry so we can open up eventually. But who knows? This might ruin us and a lot of other people, I think. So
because it's likely not all over. Flood forecasters expect there to be a second surge of water this week. Rivers could swell even higher than before, which is why crews are working to repair the dikes that were damaged in the first go-round.
So when you hear that it could be higher, what's your thought?
We'll do our best.
And try to prepare for all that water heading this way again. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Grand Forks, BC.
Now, some spring flooding is normal in the region, but not like this. So we asked Environment Canada's senior climatologist Dave Phillips why it's just been so bad this year.
We went from almost winter to summer. I mean, spring was like 3 minutes long, and that's a bad situation. You have all of this snow in the mountains. We saw in some places in the Fraser River, the snowpack in the mountains. And what we saw was, yes, a cool February, March, and April. And then the last week of April and the first 2 weeks of May has been very warm. Temperatures at least 5 degrees warmer than normal, and in some places up to about 8 or 10 degrees warmer than normal. So what you've got is all that snow melting quickly. A very rapid snow melt, which has engorged the rivers and creeks and lakes, just too much water to handle. And in this past week, we had some fairly hefty amounts of rain in the valleys. And it may get worse before it gets better, because what we see this week, we're going to see temperatures that are going to rocket up there in some places to 30 degrees, 12 degrees warmer than normal, and lots of sunshine, long days. So what's going to happen is in that mountains, in the mid-levels and the higher levels, you're going to have that snow melting around the clock.
So not good. The last time southern BC saw flooding like this, though, was 7 decades ago, during a period of rapid population growth and economic development. The scale of the disaster at that time was unprecedented.
This is the monstrous child of the quiet snows, flexing its terrible muscles in the gorges and canyons. A new and terrible kind of desert suddenly appears, a desert of water. Community after community wavered and fell before the onslaught of the river. Every 24 hours brought fresh reports of disaster.
So that language might seem a little over the top by today's standards, but he was not exaggerating the facts. Over 22,000 hectares were flooded, an area twice the size of Vancouver. It forced 16,000 people from their homes. It cut 2 transcontinental rail lines and swamped the Trans-Canada Highway. Adjusted for inflation, the total cost of that damage was well over $200 million.